Hey VC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. Today I'm doing a video for Billy Hurst's 500 subscription contest. I had a little problem with this, but I think I worked it out. Alright, the idea of the contest is to show 4 records from the year you were born, 4 records from the year he was born, and 4 of your favorite country albums. Well, since I am literally older than dirt, I was born in 1949. The first LP was actually released in 1948. Before that, it was just 78s. I did some research, and not a lot was going on in 1949 if you didn't like Bing Crosby. So I said, well, you know what? I still want to do the contest thing, so maybe I'll pick another date. So I said, you know, I'll do the year I graduated high school, which was 1967. But that's like too easy. I mean, there was the Summer of Love. There was every great record was released in 1967. So I said, well, find another period of your childhood that's sort of iconic or meant something to you. So being a nice Jewish boy, I was bar mitzvahed when I was 13, which would be 1962. So let's do 1962. That's a good year to find 4 records that I like. So I did some research and I found 4 that I think are really interesting. So we'll start with that. So 4 records from the year of my bar mitzvah, 1962. First one up was the first Bob Dylan album. All right, I did some research on the first Bob Dylan album. The only Dylan album that never charted. The first release sold 2,500 albums. Zip, nothing. John Hammond Sr., who is the big guy behind Dylan, this was virtually called Hammond's Folly because it just didn't go anywhere. It wasn't until years later that they started looking at this again. This album by Dylan, he actually only had one song that he wrote of his own, Talkin' New York. The rest of the songs were all copies of other people's songs and covers of other people's songs. This is actually where he does House of the Rising Sun on here. And it's actually where Eric Burdon got his version of House of the Rising Sun. And actually Dylan got his version of House of the Rising Sun from the guy we're listening to in the background, which is Dave Van Ronk, who did the version that Dylan copied that then Eric Burdon copied. So again, this album sold 2,500 copies initially, and I was very lucky recently, about a year ago, I bought about 100 records from a guy in Maine, and in with the records was this Dylan album, and it is 6i Columbia. If this was in mint condition, this would be worth $500. It's not in mint condition. It's definitely playable, but it's worth more like $30, $40. But still, to find a first issue of the first Dylan album on the Columbia 6i is hard to come by. So that was a great little buy. Like I said, the album really didn't do a lot until his second and third albums came out. Then they started going back to his catalog and re-releasing this album. All right, another album from 1962, which I was not aware of at the time because I was 13 years old and I really wasn't aware of a hell of a lot when you're 13, was the first release also by Howlin' Wolf, his first LP. This is a repress. Really can't afford the original, but this is great album. Does Red Rooster on it, Wang Dang Doodle, Spoonful, Backdoor Man, etc. So it's a collection of the single sides he had made from 1959 to 62, but it was his first album. So Howlin' Wolf, first album. Also 1962, Ray Charles put out an album, and everybody thought he was crazy, and they thought the studio was crazy for doing it, because it was Ray Charles was going to do country western songs. So this is Modern Sounds in Country and Western Music. And when this first came out, everybody thought he'd lost his mind, but it has absolutely iconic songs on it, such as You Don't Know Me, Born to Lose, You Win Again, I Can't Stop Loving You, Hey Good Looking. Great album. There's a verse on it. So Ray Charles modern sounds in country and western music. And the fourth album from 1962 that I found that I really enjoy is going to the jazz albums now. This is Stan Getz, and this is big band bossa nova. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's bossa nova, which was very big at the time, but it's all with a big band, and it's wonderful. And I'd say on the back, the new and exciting music of South America, arranged and conducted by Gary McFarland to feature the tenor sax virtuosity of Stan Getz. So, those are my 4 albums from 1962. Billy Hurst, with his 500 subscribers, was born in 1974. So, I got 4 records from 1974. First one is a guy who I think is unfortunately ignored too much and is a great singer-songwriter. And that's Randy Newman and his album Good Old Boys. I don't know if you know this album or not, but if you don't, you should definitely search it out. It is fantastic. He does on here Rednecks, Guilty, Marie, Louisiana 1927, Every Man a King, Kingfish, I mean, it's a great, great album. Randy Newman is really known for writing story songs where he creates a third character and he sings in that character's voice. Great stuff. Really fantastic album. Also from 1974, one of my favorite bands, Little Feat. And this is Feet Don't Fail Me Now. With Lowell George was still in the band then. He was still alive and kicking. And this has Rock and Roll Doctor, Oh Atlanta, which is great, Spanish Moon, Feet Don't Fail Me Now, and Cold, 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 a medley. This is a great, great album. Little Feat. Also that year in 74, the great Eric Clapton put out 461 Ocean Boulevard. Iconic album. Gatefold, blah, blah, blah. There's the back. This album has I Shot the Sheriff. And besides that, also has Steady Rollin' Man, Willie and the Hand Jive, Get Ready, I Can't Hold Out. A great album from a great guitar player. 461 Ocean Boulevard. Eric Clapton. And also from 1974, my personal favorite guitar player of all time, Ry Cooder. And he put out Paradise and Lunch that year. A great album with Bobby King singing backup, a bunch of other people. But he does Tap 'Em Up Solid, I'm a Fool for a Cigarette, Diddy Wah Diddy, If Walls Could Talk. I mean, it's just a great, I love this record. So there you go, Ry Cooder, Paradise and Lunch, 1974. And then Billy wanted to see 4 country albums, not from any particular year, just 4 country albums that you liked. And I watched what some other people put up, so I want to do something, again, a little different, something people haven't seen before, or if they haven't thought about it for a while. One of my favorite country swing bands is Asleep at the Wheel. I think this is their first album. Johnny Gimbel's on here, along with the regular band. Chris O'Connell was singing then, she left the band, but Ray Benson. They do Choo 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 Boogie, Jumping to the Woodside, I'm Gonna Be a Wheel Someday. Our names aren't mentioned anymore. Great album. Asleep at the Wheel. Next one is a country singer from Maine, of all places. I couldn't leave him out because I figured this is sort of, a lot of people don't know this guy, but it is Dick Curless, and this is his album, A Tombstone Every Mile, which is about truck drivers up here in Maine driving in the winter. It is a fantastic record, iconic country singer. Also Streets of Laredo on here, Teardrops in My Heart, 9 Pound Hammer. So, if you don't know Dick Curless, a great record. Also, another guy that gets overlooked too often is considered more of a, I don't know, sort of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Just did a little fun stuff. never really serious country singer, but Johnny Horton. He did more than Sink the Bismarck and Battle of New Orleans. This is a great album. Honky Tonk Man. They used to call him the Singing Fisherman. Love this album with Johnny Horton, Honky Tonk Man. I Got a Hole in My Pierogi, Old Slewfoot, Sleepy-Eyed John, The Wild One, Honky Tonk Hardwood Floor. A great album. Johnny Horton. And last but not least, here's the guy we've been talking about online recently. Some people really don't like him. I think he's just great, especially his early stuff, which this is a product of his early albums. And it is Johnny Paycheck. And this is Jukebox Charlie on Little Darlin' Records. Little Jukebox Charlie and other songs that make the jukebox play. So he has that song, Jukebox Charlie, Apartment Number 9, which is great, Motel Time Again, Then Love Dies, My Baby Don't Love Me Anymore. I mean, he was the original Mr. Heartbreak, but this is a great, great album. Johnny Paycheck, the early Johnny Paycheck. This is before Take This Job and Shove It. Way before Take This Job and Shove It. So there you go. There's my little entry into Billy Hurst 500 subs. Congratulations, Billy. 500 subs is just unbelievable. You well deserve it. You have a great channel. Love watching you. Always put interesting things up. And hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, peace.